Attorney General Eric Holder did an interview with the Marshall Project, and he made some fairly bold comments about the death penalty. He said, quote, "I think that the death penalty issue is made real when you look at some of the things that have happened in the states over the last year or so, where you had these botched executions, where you had an inability to get the appropriate drugs. We've had doctors unwilling to participate in the process. I think this is pushing the country towards some really fundamental questions about, even though, people still support the death penalty by 55% or whatever the number is, some fundamental questions about continued use of the death penalty. I disagree very much with Justice Scalia's certitude that we have never put to death an innocent person. It's one of the reasons why I personally am opposed to the death penalty. We have the greatest judicial system in the world, but at the end of the day, it's made up of men and women making decisions, tough decisions. Men and women who are dedicated, but dedicated men and women can make mistakes." So my first thought when I read his comments was, that's really interesting, and he seems to be fairly rational on this issue. If only he had some sort of position of power. Maybe he could do something about it. Come on. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. It's a little bit annoying there. Now, understand that as far as federal crimes go, according to Eric Holder, we have some sort of a moratorium right now on this. So I guess there's a stretch of an argument to be made that he has done something about it. But I think he could do more in the sense that you can bring cases against the states that are continuing down this path. A lot of people don't know this, but there was a case about the death penalty in front of the Supreme Court, I believe in the 1970s, and it was struck down. The death penalty was ruled unconstitutional because it's cruel and unusual punishment. But then there was another case that came by later, a few years later, I don't remember exactly how many years, and it reinstated it. So there was a time when the court said, no, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. But then they brought it back. I don't understand why Eric Holder wouldn't go a step further and why Eric Holder wouldn't bring multiple cases against multiple different states who botched their executions and really try to put the knife in the back, pun intended, of the death penalty and get rid of it. Now, again, understand, whenever I talk about the death penalty, I always add the caveat that I'm one of those people that philosophically I agree 100% with the death penalty. I do. If there's somebody who we know is a vicious criminal and they're beyond rehabilitation and they just don't care about morality or ethics, and like, for example, the Norwegian killer who killed, over 70 people, most of them children, any of these mass shooters in the U.S. who slaughter children as well, any of them that survive. When I look at somebody like that, I think, yeah, I'm fine with you dying. You're just a problem that needs to be eliminated. And maybe you say on that issue I'm more conservative, whatever. But the problem is, to me, you can't implement the policy and have it work, because oftentimes we do get the wrong people. There was a study that said 4% of people on death row are innocent. Okay, that's a problem. And I don't know what he's talking about, that, well, we don't know. Maybe we have killed somebody who was innocent. No, we did. We know we did. In fact, I covered 2 or 3 stories on Secular Talk where evidence came out after the fact that basically exonerated people who were killed. DNA evidence, you name it. One case was from Texas. We covered it less than a year ago on the show. So we know this. We know that we're killing innocent people, and that's the problem. And I think that's the position that makes sense, where philosophically you say, if I'm given perfect information in a world where that's available, then yes, in some situations I would say somebody should be killed. But the problem is we never get perfect information because we're human beings. And it's either you accept a system where, yes, sometimes you kill really, really bad people, and you also kill innocent people, or you have a system where you say, let's just, to be on the safe side, let's not kill anybody, and the toughest punishment is life in prison without the possibility of parole. The latter is the only thing that really makes sense, because anybody who says, I'm fine with sometimes killing the wrong person, you're endorsing murder. Whether or not you know it or not, that's what you're doing. You're endorsing murder. You're saying, okay, the system fails sometimes. Sometimes we kill the wrong person. I'm paying for it with my tax dollars. I'm all for it. Well, then what makes you any different than them? They're just more brazen in how they do said killing, and they're more hands-on, literally, in how they do their killing. But you're saying I'm fine with killing some people who are innocent. Well, morally, really not that different. So we should join the rest of the modern industrial world. I mean, the majority of the countries on the planet have abolished the death penalty. It's time for us to catch up with that. I'm happy that Eric Holder said these things, but I'd like it if he took it a step further and if he sued the states that are doing these insane things like injecting people with random chemical cocktails and not disclosing some of the cocktails. And I mean, it's just been, a litany of horrible decisions recently. People, going through torture as they get injected with substances that we don't even know what the substances are. You can put an end to that, or at least try to put an end to that in a much more serious way, Eric Holder, because your mind is in the right place, but your actions need to catch up.